It took off like a rocket. Suddenly we were in demand, suddenly we were looking like we weren't going to be in debt, and incredible.
I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening me. Galileo, Figaro. Magnifico!
It's four writers that write very different songs.
Been with you such a long time. You're my sunshine, and I want you to know that my feelings are true. I really love you. Oh, you're my best friend.
They were not individual songs done like a someone's solo record. It was individual songs as part of the Queen aesthetic.
Don't you hear my call? Though you're many years away. Don't you hear me calling you? Write your letters in the sand for the day I take your hand in the land that our grandchildren knew.
I love artists who take big risks. It's just more fun for the rest of us.
I'm in love with my car. Got a feel for my automobile. Get a grip on my boy racer robot. Such a thrill.
We needed a big turning point, and so we sort of banked everything on the album, and I don't know, maybe that was one of the reasons we released a rather daring record as a single.
So you think you can stop me and spit my eye? So you think you can love me and leave me to die? Oh, baby, can't do this to me, baby. Just gotta get out, just gotta get right out of here.
Sometimes a band produces an album that is just so seminal, I suppose, that you know that nothing's ever going to be the same again with that band.
But there comes a moment where a band gets so big, or arrive in people's consciousness to such an extent that even people who aren't really into music know who they are. I got a white label through from EMI of the first album, and I hadn't really heard anything about them. Put the needle on the vinyl, and it was Keep Yourself Alive. And the guitar intro, ding, 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 ding. And within 15 seconds, I just thought, wow, who is this?
Keep yourself alive. Yeah. Keep yourself alive. Take you all your time and the money to make you survive.
I heard the Queen album and I absolutely loved it. It was like a beautifully cut jewel landing in your lap, ready to go. It was perfection because, unlike most first albums, it had a proportion, a size to it.
It was always part of what we wanted to achieve. That's the vision we had in our heads of what our sound should be. Absolutely broad, absolutely incredibly deep and incredibly wide.
The one word that I think in itself sums it all up is layered. It was a very layered sound, layered guitars, layered voices, lots of them, big production.
I think it was 73 they opened for us in England. We thought they were good because I would come in during their last two songs, which were Keep Yourself Alive and Liar. And those were good songs, And I didn't see the rest of the set, but Fred would say, what do you think? I was like, oh, you're all right. You're gonna be fine because you got songs.
Hear me, you lords and lady preachers. I descend upon your earth from the skies. I command your very souls, you unbelievers. Bring before me what is mine, the MCs arrive.
They were hugely ambitious in a fabulously old-fashioned British kind of a way. I mean, they were not going to get slowed down by record companies, by narcotic intake, by any of that. Whatever the hell was going on, they were going for the big one.
When you start off in this business, you have to be confident. A new band has got to have a real confidence in yourself, but you have to have a certain amount of arrogance and that ego and whatever, because you have to believe in what you do. So we had that sort of confidence in actually knowing that we will get through to the public.
She's a killer queen, gunpowder jealousy, dynamite with a laser beam, guaranteed to blow your mind. Recommended at the price, insatiable and appetite. Wanna try?
They were definitely established. I mean, they were headlining acts. Killer Queen had seen to that.
Queen always had a momentum. I have seen artists make wonderful albums that because they didn't have momentum, the public didn't give them the time necessary. Queen had momentum.
Immediately prior to Night at the Opera, we were really going through a difficult period. We'd had a very successful album with Sheer Heart Attack. We thought it was a very good album. It had done very well. We'd had a major worldwide hit with Killer Queen, and we were broke, and we wanted to know why.
When we were planning to put this record out, Night at the Opera, the first track on the record, Death on Two Legs, was a pretty obvious statement from Freddie's point of view as to the kind of people he'd been in business with.
There's a sense of humour to it, but with Freddie there was a lot of anger there.
He was very aggrieved at our management at the time, who he felt didn't respect him, hadn't paid him, had stolen from him, whatever. And he wanted to put it down on record.
Suck my blood like a leech. You break the law and you breach. Screw my brain till it hurts. You've taken all my money and you want more.
Musically it's great too, the riff is great. Of course I didn't invent the riff, this is Freddie's riff because it was done on piano first, but it works great on guitar. This
You never had a heart of your own. Killjoy, bad guy, big talking, small fry. You're just an old barrel boy, and you found a new toy to replace me, and you bite me, but now you can kiss my ass goodbye.
I think even we were a bit taken aback with with how vicious Freddie wanted it to be. I remember thinking, but it was what Freddie wanted, and the kind of unwritten law was that the author of the song got his own way.
Sometimes you just disagree. And in the end, what does happen is the writer is the boss, that he can say in the end, look, this is the way I want the song, and this is the way I'm going to have it.
Dog with disease, you're the king of the sleaze. Put your money where your mouth is, Mr. No. What's the fin on your back? Part of the deal. Shark. Two legs, tearing me apart. Two legs, never had a heart of your own. Insane, inside.
To cut a very long story short, we agreed that we would go with John Reid as our manager. And John Reid's plan, because we said, how do we get out of this? His plan was, okay, boys, I will deal with the financial situation. You guys go back in the studio and make the best album you've ever made.
I think maybe we were subconsciously influenced by the Beatles albums, I think, really. Especially the later ones, like Rubber Soul, Revolver, and Abbey Road. They were very eclectic albums.
I go out to work on Monday morning. Tuesday I go off to honeymoon. I'll be back again before it's time for sunny down. I'll be lazing on a Sunday afternoon.
In those days, a lot of the effects that we used were natural effects as opposed to digital, which we use today.
The things that we did on the lead vocals with this is that we needed the megaphone effect, the old megaphone from the old Salad days.
He was singing it in the studio. It was being fed into the console. The console was then sending it out to a pair of headphones which were in a metal can, and then a microphone was in the metal can, recording the voice coming out of the can, and that is what went to tape.
Bicycling on every Wednesday evening. Thursday I go waltzing to the zoo.
We had background vocals bits as well, where the whole band sang.
I'm just an ordinary guy.
And they should be coming in about now.
Fridays I go painting in the Louvre. I'm bound to be proposing on a Saturday night.
There it goes
again.
We also run out of tracks, so that when we need to do guitars, we also did those on the vocal tracks.
What they did with this album, Night at the Opera, is just take sort of recording techniques to an area that they'd never gone before. They pushed the technology to its very limits.
We had a fabulous engineer in Mike Stone. You know, I've said this more than once, I'm sure, but Mike Stone is really the unsung hero of this whole thing. Right the way through, from the first 3 albums to A Night at the Opera to A Day at the Races, which he really just produced with us because Roy had gone somewhere else by then. And the guy was really a phenomenon. I remember it as being a very good time, very creative time. We were a good team. It was a great team, you know, between us and Roy and Mike. Stupendous team in the studio.
It sounded to me like Queen was on this path, and when they hit Night at the Opera, it was like their wings had spread. They took everything they had learned from touring all over the place and having recorded before. They had finally found their voice, and that's what makes that record so magic.
We loved the studio, we always did, and I still do, because it's an open canvas and you can do anything you want. And we were kind of disciples of Hendrix and the Beatles, particularly the way they used studios as almost like an instrument. But obviously we had more technology than they had, so we could push things a lot further.
Being in the studio with Queen was fascinating but very long-winded because they were such perfectionists. One day I spent with them, I don't think they did more than about 30 seconds of what actually ended up on a record. So it wasn't perhaps my favourite, not being a musical technician, my favourite way of seeing them. I like to see them live.
I had never really heard a band in its entirety quite like that. You know, you heard bands of different cuts for different people, but not as varied as this. And it probably reflected the fact that they all did write and they all did have something to do with the producing of the record, the production of the records.
It reminds me a lot of the Beatles, that you had this kind of 4 equal people, and at the same time they had these influences that extended way beyond the kind of the blues background that was the sort of the usual influence of bands at that time.
It was slightly different from your average rock song because it's basically in 6/8 time, which is basically waltz time. It's all very sort of... It's a great time signature to play in. It rolls, it has a certain unstoppable rolling quality. I made a sort of very rough demo of it, and I remember turning around to Brian and I said, "What do you think of that?" He looked at me and he said, "You are joking, aren't you? And you are joking." And I said, no, Brian, I'm deadly serious. It's about a car and somebody who's in love with it.
He'll tell you it was written about someone else, but we know the truth, don't we, Rog? And Roger was always into fast things, fast cars, etc., etc. It's very tuneful, but of course the vocal is the thing. You know, the vocal is the song, and that's a very memorable piece of writing there.
When I'm cruising in overdrive, don't have to listen to no run-of-the-mill talk jive. I'm in love with my car. Got a feel for my automobile. I'm in love with my car. String back close in my
It's just so excessive, you know, the way the vocals are all treated, and things going off backwards, and God knows how much overdubbing and multi-tracking on it. I've always been in love with producers who don't know when to stop, and I think Roy Thomas Baker is very, very good at knowing how to go too far, but just enough too far. And I think he, at this point, is coming into his own just the way the band did. They were very much in tune with each other at that point.
There was no one writer, yet there was one Queen sound, and you could hear all the difference in song, but you could hear with the vocal sounds and the guitar sounds and the drum sounds, etc., which is one of the things which is important to me, is to make sure that when people hear a song for the first time, even if they don't know who it is, on the radio, they could hear instantly it was Queen.
Normally, I think any other band that sang that lyric, "You're my best friend," people would throw things at them. They would burn their records, you know, live on the radio. But what a beautiful song! Just the conviction of doing a simple pop song, well crafted.
All of a sudden, John Deacon emerged from his vows of silence to speak up that he wanted his song out as a single.
He didn't write that many, but you know, if you think about it, Another One Bites the Dust, You're My Best Friend, I Want to Break Free. Big hits, and You're My Best Friend is still one of the most played tracks on American radio.
You're My Best Friend was a significant song as far as radio was concerned in the United States. I mean, I think that it was a kind of friendlier, more accessible side to some of the stuff Queen was doing.
John was always a dark horse. He always was. You know, he's the guy who doesn't say very much up to a certain point. I mean, he would go nuts sometimes and say a lot, but generally he was the quiet guy. And he would come in and we'd say, "Have you got anything, John?" He'd go, "Oh, well, I've got this. I don't know. You know, I don't know if it's any good, but we could try this." You know, very self-effacing.
I think they encouraged him. The other guys wanted them all to have more of a stake in it, because after all, the songwriting, you know, there's all those extra royalties, and that's often an issue with rock and roll bands, and quite often a reason why some of them break up. So they wanted to make sure. I know Freddie, I mean, even as early as Queen 2, he'd be encouraging John to contribute. And I think John was just a little reticent. He was the last to join, and he was certainly the most shy.
He just writes in that one area which he likes, which is almost like a Tamla Motown or the sort of... And I love that, because I love to sing on songs like that. So he's very different. I mean, you could never call his songs heavy.
It was written on a Fender Rhodes. John played it. John played his own keyboards. And John, as far as I know, wrote the song about his lovely lady wife. Further than that, you would have to ask John. And I don't think he's probably in the mood to answer at this point.
And it's a shame that, you know, he really feels that he doesn't want to be part of the music business these days. I can see his point in some ways, but, you know, he just sort of doesn't really want to, he doesn't like meeting people a lot. And he has opted for the quiet life, although he approves of what we do and has said so.
The
vocal harmonies, on a Queen record are going to provide it with unity, regardless of what the kind of, individual style of a particular song is. There's something that's, instantly identifiable about what they do.
The three voices that we had blended instantly and sounded very big.
They interacted quite magically, and we all had different qualities in our voices. And I had a sort of high searing quality. Freddie had an incredibly powerful quality in most ranges. And Brian had a very nice quality in the lower range. And so the three made a very good combination. But what we would do is we would not take a single part each. We would all together sing every part.
So as soon as the three of us sang a line, it already sounded quite big. You double track that, it sounds very big, and then we would sing the next line and the next line and the next line.
So you really were looking after both ends of the sort of spectrum there, in fact all ends, you were covering everything. So it came out particularly strong, and that was really part of the Queen sound, I think, the fact that the three of us sang every part.
The backing vocals there.
Still come back to you, girl. I'm happy at home.
The skill that they could just build those layers and layers and layers of harmony and make the whole thing work rather than you focus on elements of it and then forget the rest. That, I think, is really what always was the thing that made them stand out from everybody else.
Well, there was never any question of writing a single. We just wrote albums, and then, so it would really, by consensus, it would be, that sounds like the first single, and then there might be some argument.
Obviously, you have certain of your own babies if you wrote the song, and you want them to be heard in a wide area.
Usually the writer of that particular song would be arguing that he should have the single.
And if you miss that opportunity, it's kind of gone forever. And in my case, I think we all had things like that we felt sad about. In my case, there's things like Long Away, 39 of this album, which could have been a single. And part of me wishes they had been, because they would have been much more in the public consciousness. Songs become hooked into people's lives in a very wonderful way. You hear a song and it reminds you of being on a beach somewhere at a particular time with a particular person. And generally if the song hasn't become a single, it doesn't have that opportunity to become part of life. Assembled here the volunteers in the days when lands were few, and the ship sailed out into the blue and sunny morn, the sweetest sight ever seen. And the night followed day, and the storytellers say that the score brave souls inside, for many a lonely day, sailed across the milky seas, never looked back, never feared, never cried.
It was meant to be sort of science fiction space folk.
I remember waking up with the idea, thinking a lot of people do folk songs with acoustic guitars about sailors that went off on a long trip, but nobody ever did anything about spaceship, the spacemen who go off. And the whole story seemed to be very appealing to me, of the guy going off to search for new lands in a spaceship. But because of the relativistic, general relativity time dilation effect, he's going at speeds near to light speed, so his perception of time is completely different from the people back home. He comes back after what he thinks is a year, but to the people back on Earth it's been 100 years. The middle part is, of course, the journey itself, and it goes through very strange chords. It's a tour de force for Roger, who does this very high, ethereal vocal. It's very much like science fiction movies were when we were kids. That's kind of the effect I was looking for. The only thing to add to that is perhaps that all songs have more layers in them than very often the writer even realises, and I'm sure there's a lot of this feeling of what it's like to be on tour and come back and find life very changed when you get back. It was a pretty difficult thing to adjust to, and I think we all suffered from it.
Well, Brian did work his arse off on this album, actually, I have to say.
Brian is one of the great rock guitarists. I mean, you know, there's no argument here.
He's a wonderful guitar player. He's a brilliant musician. We make a very good noise together on stage, and it's quite a magical thing, and it's a big row.
I mean, there are certain points about Freddie Mercury that are so obvious that it's easy to miss them, you know. And in a sense, the kind of theatricality running through a variety of different styles is what drew him to, music hall. Is what drew him to glam rock. It's what he liked about metal. It's what he liked about the rock and roll that he liked. That there was running through all that was just this element of performance and inventing a character and theatricality.
He could tap a broad range of emotions in his psyche, and that did include a little nostalgia, but not nostalgia in the corny looking back sense, but culling some of that emotion and bring it into the dynamic present. And that's obviously what he did with Seaside Rendezvous.
I like to capture a song very quickly so that it's fresh, and then you can work on it afterwards. But I mean, I hate sort of trying to write a song, and if it's not coming, oh, come on, let's try this. It either comes quickly, and then you have it, like the basic skeleton, and then I say, yes, we have a song, and then we can start putting in all the clever bits.
One sweaty afternoon, I was with Freddie, just the two of us there, I think. We did a lot of those things. We did the tap dancing, was thimbles on the fingers on the metal bit on the top of the desk, and I think I did a little brass section, and Fred was doing the woodwind with his mouth. It was like experimentation, but we were sort of laughing at the same time. But I think it turned out rather well. It was meant to be cod, and cod it was.
Just keep right on dancing. What a damn jolly good idea.
You never got a sense that this band was taking itself too seriously. There was a kind of wit and a campiness, a kind of self-irony that was really a pleasure.
This is a George Formby, genuine George Formby ukulele. It has him on there, you can see his picture, and this is the instrument my dad carried with him all through the war, Second World War. It's a ukulele banjo. It's not a ukulele or a banjo, it's a ukulele banjo. And makes this particular sound, which was part of my upbringing. My dad used to sit and put this on his knee and go to... This is how I learnt the guitar. The chord shapes that my dad taught me to play things like that transferred quite easily onto the guitar. And I remember they got the guitar for my 7th birthday and started working out the chords for the guitar. So the idea for a good company obviously comes from here. It's like, take good care of what you've got, my father said to me, as he puffed his pipe and baby B dandled on his knee. Take care of those you call your own and keep good company. Woo-hoo. 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 It's been 20 years, you know. Woo-hoo. Take care of those you call your own and keep good company. Soon my crew went happy to my very good friends and me. Play all day with Sally J, the girl from number 4. Very soon I begged her, won't you keep me company? It also developed to another place, which is the place of the jazz band, and that's very much part of my childhood too. The Dixieland Jazz Band was kind of revived when I was a kid. And there was a wonderful group called the Temperance Seven who played a mixture of Dixieland and very arranged pseudo-20s music. And I learned a lot of my arrangement from those guys. So when it came to doing the solo part for Good Company, I wanted it to sound like a jazz band. And of course I wanted the guitar to be the jazz band. It was very work intensive, that every note was done separately to get the actual proper trumpet sounds and the trombone sounds, etc. Very painstaking, but a lot of fun because it had never been done before. I don't think I would do it these days, really, unless there was a very good reason. Just loved this stuff. It was wonderful to be able to take the time to do this stuff in the studio, which I'd always dreamed of doing, I guess. That's the great thing about Night at the Opera. We had the time that we were given the opportunity to explore all those avenues rather than be rushing in and out.
It's hard to believe that it is guitar and that somebody actually created that. I mean, am I a Queen fan? Do I sound like a Queen fan? I don't know. I mean, you know, even if I wasn't a fan, you'd have to just go, what is that? How did that happen? Who's responsible for that?
This is roughly what they sound like without anything else. And the bells.
When you hear any other vocalist trying to sing a Queen song, it's not until you hear them trying that you realize what an incredible vocalist Freddie was, what a range he had, what great expression he had, and how idiosyncratic some of the songs were in terms of being written for him and his way of expressing lyrics in a song.
Basically, I think if you sort of put them all in one bag, I think my songs are all under the label emotion, you know, it's emotion and feeling. So, I mean, I write songs that a lot of people have written before. It's all to do with love and emotion. You know, I'm just a true romantic. And I think everybody's written songs in that field. I just write it in my own way, so they carry a different sort of, it's a different texture or whatever.
Some of them were obviously about Mary, who he was very fond of, and was his best friend, I think, all his life.
That's fascinating in itself, that it really was, ironically, the love of it, notwithstanding whatever his sexual life was, that actually she was the love of his life. But that was fabulous. I have these wonderful pictures that are in Quinto, and you can see that Freddie loves her.
Love of my life, you've hurt me. You've broken my heart, and now you leave me. Love of my life, can't you see? Bring it back, don't take it away from me, because
some lovely backing harmonies from Freddie on this as well. Freddie had the ability to sing multi-tracked so accurately that it would actually phase. One take would phase with another because he would sing it so similarly each time. These beautiful backing harmonies.
Love of my life, don't don't leave me. You've taken my love, you now desire.
That's the background vocals.
Love of my life, can't you
And they blossom now.
bring it back, back, take it away from me. Ooh, no means to me.
I just remember him doing it in the studio. He had a wonderful touch on the piano, Freddie. Really, he didn't think he did. You know, he was very deprecating about his piano playing, and in later years, really didn't do any of it. He played less and less piano on stage because he wanted to run around and deliver it to the audience, which he did so magnificently. He didn't have the classical range, but he could play what came from him inside him like nobody else, with incredible rhythm, incredible passion and feeling.
Mind you, how I still love you. I still love you.
But I love the song, and pretty much every concert we play, I sing this song now for Freddie. And I find it much more satisfying than singing one of my own songs. It's because it seems to bring back so much of Freddie with me and with the audience.
When I grow older, I will be there at your side to remind you how I still love you. I still love you. Hurry back, don't take it away from me, because you don't know what it means to me. Love of my life, love of my life.
We didn't really realise for years, Brian and myself, I'm really speaking for now, and probably John, we didn't realise how great he was, actually. And people forget he's actually a great musician, and that sort of pisses me off sometimes, because, I mean, they say, oh, he's a great showman, you know. It wasn't just showman, it was actually, he was a brilliant musician, and, you know, and quite an inspirational one. And so, I think there should be a bit more balance there, really, you know. It wasn't just all about getting people to go, hey, you know. He was a great musician.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. Open your eyes.
So much has been said about Bohemian Rhapsody, of course, and it's Freddie's baby. It always will be. It's Freddie's dream. Of course, we all contributed pieces to it, but really he's the mastermind. It is an amazing conception, in my opinion.
I have to say, it was definitely my choice for a single, because I love the original melody of the, you know, Mama Just Killed a Man. That I thought was very strong, and I love the beginning of it. But it wasn't obvious. In those days, you know, singles had to be no longer than 3 minutes, and you know, had to grab you.
Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun, but now I've gone and thrown it all away. Mama, didn't mean to make you cry. If I'm not back again this time tomorrow, carry on.
There was some concern on the part of Elektra. I just happened to walk into the president's office one day, and he said, "Look what your band sent us." And it was the single, and he said that sort of half jokingly, and he played all 5 minutes and 55 seconds of it and said, "What do you think?" I said, "You got a high-class problem, release it."
It's a monster, isn't it? It's one of those things, it's not going to go away, it's just going to go where it's supposed to go.
It's a piece of art, let's be honest about it. It's great rock and roll is fair enough if it's great rock and roll. It doesn't have to all be art, but that is art.
There was no record company invention going on here. There wasn't any. We weren't smarter than anybody else. We just had a tiger by the tail. And if the only place we were smart was we said yes more often than we said no.
It was one of the most expensive records ever made, and it took them over 3 weeks to cut this one single. But the layers of guitars and the overdubs of vocals, and then when I got to see the video, and you realize that Freddie Mercury was so charismatic and so unique.
Too late, my time has come. Sent shivers down my spine, body's aching all the time. Goodbye, everybody. I've got to go. Gotta leave you all behind and face the truth.
My favorite solos, and again, what I liked about Queen was, and Brian's playing, is that you try and make a little statement. You try to have like a beginning, a middle, and an end, and some kind of dynamic change in a solo.
I find it easier to get into it with other people's songs than my own, I think, because the inspiration comes from a separate place, and perhaps you feel more free. So with Freddie's stuff, I always could hear the solo long before I played it on his tracks, because they just invited something. For this, I used these two pickups out of phase again, which is a favourite because it makes it scream. It really makes the harmonics come out. It'll be different every time I play it, but basically it has that screaming kind of quality to it.
I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, will you do the fandango?
It is the crossing the threshold album for Queen, I think, from popularity into sort of, superstardom.
It took them to a completely different level, both in terms of their sales and in terms of the perception of the band and in terms of their live shows.
The opportunity to play Hyde Park came up, and they said you can have this new site which had never been played before. You can play it for free, and there's no limit to the amount of people you can get there, which was amazing for us.
The thought of being able to put that show on and be able to get it across to more than 100,000 people was really beyond our imagining. It was a major step in Queen realizing what they could do. And of course they went on to do it.
Freddie could play in front of 100 people and act like a total star. And here he had, the whole of London at his feet, and clearly in his element. He had the kind of charisma that I think the world was just about small enough a stage for him to feel comfortable on.
Just gotta get out.
think what happens when a band hits that stride, it's so true that the fans can't help but feel it. And that's why it translates to a record that just resonates. And then it becomes almost iconic for that band and their fans.
I think it just started off as a band with a singer. And then they found all this great stuff hidden away in every one of them, you know.
The size of it, the perfection of it, the willingness to go everywhere from music hall to jazz, and to have them wear those different musical costumes close to their skin and part of who they were. It was not fake, it was always genuine, and you can always tell the difference.
In England and Europe and Australia, I think it defined us. It defined us as something big, something exciting, something significant.
It was our sort of epiphany, it was our turning point. And I would say, so in that sense, with the single that came from it and the album, it was really probably the most important album we ever made.